Where do you think people really get stuck or have trouble with this integration process?
One piece of it is obviously the social aspect. Like, how do you bring what you've
Mm.
seen in these transcendent experiences into your human life, into a culture, into a society, into your surroundings that might not have the reference point of what you have experienced. So communicating that, right, and being very aware in your way of bringing that back into the world is where I see many people are struggling. Because especially when you've had positive experiences, you're just so excited and you want to share it with the world, and everybody should have this experience probably. And it's like, it can help people. And then there's this drive. But with this drive, oftentimes what I see is that people are kind of like resistant to that. Nobody wants to be told what to do. So people block off in regards to this new exciting thing. When there's also a lot of stigma still around it, right? From the 60s and 70s and all the prohibition and political propaganda that was going on. So that's one piece of it. And even if you've had a challenging experience, it's also difficult to bring that back into your cultural context at times, because especially in our Western culture, we don't have the proper systems in place for catching people that have continued like consciousness expansion or challenges or energetic releases or whatever other difficulties after heavy traumatic psychedelic experiences. So that's also challenging to bring back because there's a lack of understanding, right? So to bridge that gap of like, how do you communicate what you've seen, in what way and with whom, and where do you find that resonance and that connection in your life is a key part, right? That's where therapists are beautiful, integration coaches are beautiful. There's more and more psychedelic societies popping off in certain cities, but also what I'm passionate about is the online space, right? Connecting with people online is a great place to find this community. So that's one aspect where there's definitely a gap. The other thing is lots of people, especially in my environment, have these spiritual experiences, and they're like, I have this state that is maybe categorized as a mystical peak experience, right? This union with the absolute, this absolute oneness, this dissolution of everything. But then as my ego structure recreates itself, like, how do I, right, relate to that experience somehow? Because I know it's true in my heart, but what I see many people are moving into, and I moved into myself, is a tendency to attach to that peak experience, to say this blissful unitive experience is better than my human experience. So then there's a very subtle neglect of the humanness of what's entailed in living in this body. Right. So that's challenging for some people of seeing this body as a burden and not being able to see that as part of the spiritual process of, after the ecstasy, the laundry, I think is what Jack Kornfield said, right? Or before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water, and after enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. So really being careful in regards to developing a disgust for the ordinary, but seeing the beauty in the ordinary is actually what the psychedelics have been teaching me. But to take that back and translate that into our ordinary perception when we have these thoughts and these emotions and we're washing our dishes, and that's the practice in regards to translating that back. So yeah, attaching to peak experiences is a big one, right? Bringing in this judgment of better than, like, this experience is better than my ordinary state experience is a big one that I've seen for people. Yeah, there's many more. There's ego inflation and spiritual narcissism, right? Seeing that now that I have had this experience that I judge and perceive as better or higher consciousness, I am better than all these other people around me that haven't had this experience, right? So there's a subtle superiority that's evolving, that's making it again challenging to relate to people, because they can feel that, you know. But right, flipping the coin to that, and seeing like, okay, what does compassion and kindness actually mean? Like, what does, I've realized infinite love, but what does that actually mean? Right? Does that mean that I'm better than anybody else? Right? So it's really bridging that gap, and being very careful of all the ways these insights can influence our state of being and our perception of the world. Yeah, spiritual bypassing, I guess, is another one, right? So again, kind of related to attaching to the peak experience, and seeing that that's the real work, but then the actual shadow material and the processing that's happening afterwards, and continuing to do the work afterwards, is very easy to do. So it's like, it's this bypass of everything that's more like on the shadow work, emotional work kind of basis in our day-to-day lives. Yeah. And probably many more, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about psychedelics in general, right? We are such unique individual beings that we can't say that any, psychedelics is just a mirror of that.